Romans, the third video, looking at the second section of Paul's argument, Romans 5:12 to 8:39. It addresses three laws: the law of Torah, the law of sin, and the law of the Spirit. In this second section of his argument, Paul describes three laws, we might say overriding influences, that hold humanity. First, there is the Torah, which is God's specific rule book, to put it very simply, on how his people should live. And if and when they do, they will be God's light to the Gentiles. Second, there is the almost demonic and titanic power of sin that holds human beings. And third, there is the greater power of the Holy Spirit. Paul starts again with the universality of sin by describing its origins with Adam as recorded in the Jewish Torah. Paul then uses three images to describe how Christ has released the believer from the power of sin. First, in the first 14 verses of chapter 6, the believer has been brought into resurrection life with Christ through having been united with him through baptism into his death. Second, in chapter 6, 15 to 23, the believer has been liberated from slavery to sin and is now free to leave the prison of slavery. And third, in the first 4 verses of chapter 7, the believer has been freed from a marriage covenant to the law, so we can be in marriage covenant with Christ and bear fruit for God. Paul is careful to endorse the Torah as spiritual and holy and good, but it was nevertheless powerless to help humanity overcome the tyranny of sin, even became implicated in the death sentence passed on humanity because of sin. But the Spirit, the third law, it fulfills the law's requirements, chapter 8, verse 4, enables us to stand against and overcome the sinful nature, chapter 8, 5 to 13, affirms our new identity in God's family, chapter 8, 14 to 17, leads us into the future, chapter 8, 18 to 26, and transforms us to be like Christ, from whom we shall never be separated.